The Krotol Empire had conquered 17 star systems before they encountered humanity. Their warships, each the size of a small moon, had reduced civilizations to ash with contemptuous ease. When they arrived at the human colony of Eden's Gate, they expected another swift victory. Captain James Carter had been a simple freight hauler before the invasion. No military training, no combat experience, just a father of two trying to make an honest living, transporting agricultural goods between the outer colonies. When the Krotol dropships descended on Eden's Gate's primary settlement, James had been loading crates at the spaceport. His daughter Lily playing nearby with other colony children. The attack began without warning. Krotol warriors, towering creatures of chitin and rage, poured from their landing craft, their weapons carved through buildings like paper. Adults scattered, trying to reach the evacuation shelters. But the Krotol moved with terrible purpose toward the colony's nursery complex where over 200 children had been gathered for safety. James saw the warriors advancing toward his daughter and the other young ones. He saw their weapons charging. He saw the future of Eden's Gate about to be erased. Something primal awakened in him. He ran, not away, toward. His hands found a loading crane's support beam, torn loose by the bombardment. 20 feet of reinforced steel, heavy enough that he shouldn't have been able to lift it. But James Carter was a father watching predators approach his child, and in that moment human limits meant nothing. The first Krotol warrior never saw him coming. The beam caught the alien across its armored torso with enough force to shatter the creature's exoskeleton. The second warrior turned, raising its plasma rifle, but James was already moving. He swung again, a horizontal arc that connected with the alien's head. Chitin cracked. The warrior fell. 3 more rushed him. James dropped the beam and caught the first warrior's clawed arm as it slashed toward him. His fingers dug into the joint where armor plates met. He twisted. Something snapped. The warrior shrieked. James used the creature's own momentum to hurl it into its companions. He fought like a man possessed. No technique, no strategy. Pure desperate ferocity. His hands became weapons. When his knuckles split against alien armor, he didn't slow. When claws opened gashes across his shoulders, he didn't flinch. Every blow he struck was powered by a father's love transformed into kinetic fury. The other colonists watched in stunned silence as this ordinary man held the line. One human, bare hands, against a dozen armored warriors. It should have been impossible. But James Carter didn't know that. A Krotol blade found his ribs. He grabbed the weapon, tore it from the warrior's grip and drove it through the creature's throat. Another warrior flanked him. James spun, catching the alien in a chokehold, using its body as a shield against plasma fire from its comrades. When the warrior went limp, he charged forward, shoulder-checking the next opponent with such force that both of them crashed through a prefab wall. They fought in the wreckage. James's vision tunneled. Blood, his own and alien, slicked his hands. His breath came in ragged gasps. Pain screamed from a dozen wounds. But behind him, through the chaos, he could hear the children crying. Still alive, still safe, he couldn't stop. He wouldn't stop. The Krotol commander, watching from his dropship, saw something that gave him pause. He had witnessed countless species in their final moments. He had seen soldiers make last stands. He had watched warriors fight to the death. But this was different. This wasn't a warrior. This was something the Krotol had never encountered. A parent defending their young with a ferocity that transcended reason itself. More warriors fell. James moved on instinct now, his body operating beyond conscious thought. Grab, strike, throw, break, repeat. A warrior's plasma rifle discharged point blank into his left arm, searing through muscle. James headbutted the alien, grabbed its weapon with his remaining good hand, and fired until the power cell depleted. When the last warrior before the nursery entrance fell, James stood swaying in the doorway, a bloodied scarecrow of a man. His left arm hung useless. His right eye had swollen shut. Bone showed white through torn flesh on his shoulder, but he was still standing, still between them and the children. The Krotol commander made a decision that would echo across the galaxy. He ordered his forces to withdraw, not because of tactical disadvantage, not because of strategic concerns, but because something in that human's stand had shaken him to his core. In 300 years of conquest, Commander Zyrax had never seen such desperate courage. The invasion of Eden's Gate ended that day, but the story spread. Other Krotol heard what happened. How one human, unarmed and untrained, had held an entire shock platoon at bay through sheer will. The tale mutated as it spread through the Empire's communication networks. Some versions claimed James had killed 50 warriors. Others said 100. The truth mattered less than what it represented, that humans would fight with incomprehensible savagery when their young were threatened. The Krotol Empire had built its power on inspiring fear. Now for the first time they felt it. 3 months later, a Krotol dreadnought entered Earth's orbit. Every military installation went to high alert. Warships scrambled. Missile batteries locked onto the massive vessel. The planet held its breath, certain that humanity's end had arrived. Instead, a single shuttle descended. It landed outside the medical facility where James Carter was still recovering from his wounds. The shuttle's doors opened and Emperor Draven himself emerged, a towering figure of obsidian armor and ancient authority, ruler of 17 conquered star systems. He walked into the hospital. Medical staff and security backed away, weapons drawn but fingers frozen on triggers. The Emperor ignored them all. He moved with deliberate purpose until he stood before James's room. James sat up in bed, his body a map of healing scars. His daughter Lily squeezed his good hand. He faced the Emperor of the Krotol with the same eyes that had stared down death itself. Emperor Draven did something no Krotol had ever witnessed their leader do. Slowly, with movements that echoed across their entire species' consciousness, he lowered himself to one knee. "You defended their young with bare hands," the Emperor said, his voice a rumble of harmonics. "This is strength beyond weapons, beyond ships, beyond empires." The Emperor rose and turned to face the cameras that had captured everything. His next words were broadcast across both human and Krotol networks. "The Krotol Empire hereby recognizes humanity as unconquerable, not because of your weapons, not because of your numbers, but because you possess something we have forgotten, the willingness to sacrifice everything for the next generation. We withdraw from all human territories. We propose not conquest but alliance." James Carter, freight hauler and father, simply nodded. Damn right. The war that never fully began ended with an emperor kneeling before a man who proved that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't in their arsenals. It was in their hearts, and in the bare hands of those who would defend their young against any threat at any cost, without hesitation or surrender. That was humanity's true strength. That was what made them fuck, yeah.